All right, everyone. Welcome to the Revelation Podcast. We're back at it with another episode today. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of music and the importance of music to the African American community. And today, I have a special guest, one of my favorite all-time music teachers. And come on, how you doing, Mr. Lee?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you also do have a background degree in music, correct, as well, right?
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Music from the University of Central Oklahoma, and I have a Master of Music degree from Howard University.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Black excellence all the way. And you also do play a couple instruments too.
Yes. I play trumpet, I play piano, play touch-style guitar. I write for orchestras, choirs, marching bands, jazz bands, pretty much whatever music is involved. Whenever it's involved, I deal with it.
Mhm. So, being that we're talking about music today, why is music important to you, and why should it be also important to our culture?
Well, music has been fundamental, first of all, in Black culture, going back as far as written history can take us. Music is important to me because it's another form of expression. It allows me to affirm my own sense of humanity. Music, it describes things that words can't, and it can penetrate places that words can't. Sound can penetrate beyond walls. It's amazing if you go past a church on a Sunday or a club on a Saturday night. You can hear the music outside. The sound travels through the walls without destroying it. Sound is a powerful thing, and when it's organized and shaped for a purpose, then we can use it for 1,000 different ways. So I will address your question more specifically, but that's my overall general answer.
Mhm. Yeah, I just want to give a general overview first before I get into the specific aspects to break it down. So, like in the church, going back to the beginning, how do you feel that music helped our people remain strong?
Well, coming over here to this country, uh, everything was stripped away from us. So it was stripped away to the point that we couldn't call upon God in the way that we called upon God.
Hmm.
I mean, it would be threatened all the way from whippings to death. And
Hmm.
so we have to find a way to connect back to the Creator. And so, as many of us were already introduced to Christianity for hundreds and hundreds of years before slavery. That wasn't really anything new. We had Islam there in the parts of Africa where a lot of us came from. But the form of Christianity, which it was kind of thrown upon us. We took a lot of our African principles and we worshipped using Christianity, but in the way that fit our worship expression. And we had to find a way to connect with God. I don't know if my screen is stuck. Is my screen stuck?
Yeah, you just went out for a minute.
Okay,
You,
hopefully it comes back on. If I
hmm
keep talking, will it still pick me up?
Oh yeah, this will pick you up.
Okay. Um, just know that everybody out there, that's not my normal resting face and everything. I put this RBF. I don't know. That's not my normal resting face, resting
Hmm.
black face. That's the RBF. Uh,
Hmm.
but um, if we didn't have music to get through, I'm talking about with the spirituals and everything else, we would have lost. I think we would have lost our minds here. It was the only way that we got through this experience through music, through singing about it, through the coded messages, through just affirming our story, to documenting our story through music. Music just helped us keep our sanity. It was like our therapy. Dr. Phil all day.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right about that. We used to use the songs as hidden codes to understand and communicate, and we also use it to, just remind us who we are and a part of our culture. And I think that that is a powerful aspect, and that did play, a large part transitioning from slavery to when we started building our churches to keep that same that's one consistency in our music, never giving up and keeping that hope and that faith in God.
Oh, absolutely. Um, I'm not quite sure what happened with the camera, but if you can still hear me, I will
Hmm.
keep going. Yes. And so how we made it through this whole country, through this whole experience, music was part of how we connected to God. It wasn't just for art's sake. It wasn't just for partying sake. I mean, we could have fun with it. We could dance to it. We worked to it through work songs. We It was just a part of everyday life, which goes back to how we were before we came over here. Music was an aspect of everyday life. It was in every part of life. That was just part of who we were. So to
Hmm.
take away, I'll say, what is music to Black people? Well, for Black people coming to the United States, music was a part of almost every activity we did, and so it was integrated into everyday life. So without it, I don't even know what life would be.
No, so definitely now you say that does hold true to today, to today's standard with COVID-19. We need that music to still keep us going.
Oh, it absolutely does. It's interesting as I walk around. I used to walk around Morris College. I walked around other colleges I taught for: Benedict, Johnson C. Smith, Savannah State, Livingstone. I walk around these colleges and I see the headphones on and the headphones are going. The heads, as people are walking through campus, music is very, very important. The heads are bumping. Right now, I I'm teaching part time online, so you can't really see students. But I also work at the University of Oklahoma,
Hmm.
28,000 students. It's mainly a white college.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really see headphones on like that. And I don't hear people rocking the beats. I just don't. There was some different factor of life. I sit and watch. Now I go back to the Black community. The music's on the headphones. The music is in the car bumping. It's part of the culture, and I think it's part of how we see the world. There's a rhythm to it. They used to call it rhythm of life. For the part of Africa where we come from, rhythm is makes up the whole universe, and so part of those beats we constantly have going. I just see it in the Black community all the time. I think it's part of our worldview of how we see the universe, even if we don't know that's what we're doing.
Hmm. I definitely agree with you that it always just seems to be that light and that instrument that constantly just keeps us pumping, that keeps us motivated, whether it's through celebration, whether it's through life, death, passing through the ages, getting that job,
Mhm.
going through grief. It always seems that music is the one factor that constantly is in our life, and it's been a part of our tradition and the whole aspect of our culture.
Absolutely. There's a gentleman, trying to remember his name. I think Olaudah Equiano. He was one of the first Africans to write a book in English, and he wrote about his experiences. And he was on a slave ship. This is back in the, I think, 1600s, but he eventually became free, and he was working with a lot of the Europeans. He wrote this book about his life before becoming a slave, and he was talking about, yeah, music is part of everything we do, everything. And he's talking about the Africans that were brought over to the Americas. Now he's talking about us. He was describing the land. He would say, just going down the road, wherever they would go, we always have music going before us. Music is just it's almost how we interact with the universe,
Hmm.
and it's how we communicate with God. I mean, now you don't go to a lot of Black churches where there's not a lot of music as being a central part of the worship service.
Hmm. So how has that experience been for you? Because you've played at more than just black churches. You've played at other cultural churches. How does music differentiate at those other churches?
Okay, I can give you some good experiences. I was talking with friends over this past week that these are different friends of mine that play at some of the contemporary white churches, and I played a lot of them, but I wanted to get their perspective. Um, they do have some issues, and here's how it goes. I'll say so. The modern churches that you see on TV, whether it's down, what's the church, the big organization down in Australia, Hillsong, whether it's Hillsong style, any of those style churches.
Oh yeah, I've listened to Hillsong perform a couple of times.
Well, here's how the format goes for like Life Church and many of the other churches. They're very formatted. So my friend was showing me, he was showing me his phone because first of all, they have everyone on a phone system before service starts, and they'll say, okay, well, whenever you get at the beginning of the week, you'll get your song list for the week, and in that song list, they'll say, okay, this song will be done at this many beats per minute, so it's exactly 3 minutes, and we'll be cut at 3 minutes, and then we'll go to this, then it'll go to this, and everything is very segmented. And when that 3 minute song is done, they say stop. It doesn't matter if the spirit's going, if we want to play it one more time. Everything is very detailed, it's very laid out. I played at an Episcopal church where the whole entire service is laid out word for word. Once I know it's an Anglican church. Everything is very formatted. Even if you look at the hymnals, standard European hymnals, there are 4 or 5 verses, and then that's it. It's different with Black church. Even if we're singing out the hymnal, we're going to extend some things out, change the rhythm. Any of the songs, there's not an exact time limit to everything. And whenever you have a lot of contemporary Christian churches, especially a lot of the contemporary Christian white churches, everything is timed to the point. I got one of my friends, he had to be, rehearsal starts at 6:30, but technically they do a 5-minute setup. He came in at 6, and they do 5 minutes setup where they're talking about some different things that they're doing. He came in during that time, he as a drummer, he has to set up his drums. He's not part of this other setup process. He just sets up his drums. He's not talking with the group members, with the choir. And he didn't have it completely set up at 6:34. So he got in trouble because the first song starts at 6:35. And there's no leeway. It doesn't matter if anything happened. I mean, everything is very regimented. So if a song starts, he'll hear in his headphones, drums come in 1, 2, 3. Okay, drums off 1, 2, 3. Everything is so laid out and so prescribed that it's very foreign. It's very difficult because that's not how we worship at all.
A very, very different style of worship, like you said, is very structured. I feel like with our churches, it's a little bit more free. We do have a general sense of what we want to do. Sometimes we might go like a minute or two over, but I know I've been to other churches. My friends told me, he said, hey, if we just let you know, things about to be a little bit different. And I said, man, y'all on key, on point, timed it almost to the perfect minute. And I'm just like, dog, this is so different.
That is because they don't allow room for the Holy Spirit to lead. It is laid out long before anybody gets to church, a week before it gets to church. And they have a script, and it's minute for minute, and this is what will happen. And there's nothing that would change that, not even God. It'll be on the script, period.
Like my grandfather used to say, sometimes you gotta let the Holy Spirit work through you and let that music flow.
Well, where we, those are coming from 2 different philosophies of time. There's an understanding, a European philosophy of time, which in African philosophy of time that are very different. And there's one where God's in control of time, and the other where man's in control of time. If you're functioning under an African system where God's in control of time, I would never say when the worship has to stop. It's a totally different understanding. So according to that sense of time functioning in the European church, that's how they're continuing in the churches now. So I don't, and it's effective. It works for them. It's very effective. It's what their culture is used to. It's more cultural than anything.
every culture, one thing, like I was telling one of the friends, so, we were trying to, like, he invited me to church with him. I invited him to church. We had an assignment back in high school where one of our teachers was just like, she said, do we as a people really understand our cultures? Do you understand his culture? She said, I'll give y'all about 10, 20 extra points on y'all next test. You don't have to really view people. So just talk to your classmates. Learn. Tell me what you learned about their culture. And she said, culture, I don't just mean what they do because you're of African descent or you're of Asian descent. What is their home culture like? What's your home culture like? Because she said, I want to see everybody be respectful. She said, in order to succeed, she said, just like with music, music flows with a pattern and it flows because you want to try to have that consistent beat. She said, I want y'all to flow in harmony and consistency. And I think that's something that, I noticed that, like Elvis, for example, he wanted to be different. He wanted to get that African style and incorporate it into Caucasian society to see how they would respond to that. I think I actually learned that from, I don't know if it was your class or was it Mr. Hare class that I learned that Elvis stole music from an African American woman.
That probably would be from his. I know Elvis grew up in the Black community in Tupelo, Mississippi. He
Hmm.
went to a Black church. Even when he was growing, he went to Herbert Walker Brewster's church in Memphis, a Black church. He always went to the Black church.
Hmm.
So he always knew how to sing and dance like Black people because he was always around Black people. And so which is no crime, and it's a good thing. He liked the music he liked. I don't have
Hmm.
a problem with that. The record industry at the time was searching for somebody. Since a lot of the younger white generation, they would love listening to Black music. A lot of the white parents did not like that, so the record companies needed somebody who could dance and sing like a Black person, but was white. So Elvis, he was the perfect blend of both worlds, and he was good at it.
Yeah, he definitely was.
So they all stole music. I mean, you'd have one Black artist that would create an album. It got big in the Black community in a couple of weeks. The white artists would come in, remake the whole album, and sell it in the white community and make 10 times the money and not give any royalties. So that was a common thing, not just with Elvis, with all of them. I
Hmm.
mean, that was just how the music industry was. And Black people
Hmm.
couldn't, we did, they weren't able to really sue a lot of the white companies for these royalties. That didn't happen until people like Ray Charles started owning their masters. Shout out to Lil Wayne, who just sold all of his masters last week.
Hmm.
Did you hear about that?
Uh, Actually, I did hear about that from Joy. I just didn't get all the details from it.
He sold his collection of masters, plus I think he had Drake's as well,
Hmm.
and so he sold it to his company for 100 million.
Hmm. Was it Young Money Records and all that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, whoever was on Young Money, he got a lot of money
Yeah,
for that.
he sold what, his money, Nicki's money, and
Oh,
it was
Nicki's too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah. Doll. Who else is it?
So
Doll. It was
Drake,
somebody.
Nicki,
Hmm.
Drake, and
Hmm.
somebody else you said.
Yeah, somebody else that was a part of it. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Now the people who bought it are going to make much more
Oh yeah,
money.
they about to resell that. I definitely enjoyed having you on. My laptop is starting to kind of act a little bit of funny, so hopefully I might be able to book you next time on the show if you have some time.
Oh yeah, anytime. Just let me know. I'm happy to be here.
All right, thank you, Miss Silly.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, you